Filmmaker Findings, Thursday, 29 June 2023. My name is Adam Victor Lattimore. I began this journey by opening YouTube and searching the word filmmaker. The very first result was a snippet of an interview with Jason Satterlund. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The topic of the discussion was getting started as a filmmaker if you have no connections. He grew up in Oregon, fell in love with film at an early age. He talks a bit about his parents, so we get kind of an origin story. I know each of us have one of those. He describes a childhood event where he saw a grip truck, but otherwise he didn't have access to the world of filmmaking. All he had was a cassette recorder, so he would record audio stories. Now, one impressive accomplishment that I made note of was that he wrote a novel while in grade school. I am thinking back to some of my early adventures in storytelling. And I had dabbled in a couple other mediums before I landed on film. And so the next chapter for him began when he got a driver's license. He would go and borrow cameras from the public cable access station, which got me thinking, I wonder if that's something people still can do. So maybe I'll look into my local options. He didn't have any mentors or anything. He had majored in communications when he got to school. But he doesn't think that maybe helped him in his particular industry. He didn't understand film festivals or maybe how LA worked or really any of the big cities that he had an opportunity to go to. So he got out of school, didn't know about internships. So he worked a dead-end job for 2 years and was feeling very depressed because he wasn't even on the ladder to get to where he wanted to go. He had one friend in Nashville, Tennessee, and I think as an aside, I realized that Satterlund is also a musician. So maybe he and I have that in common. But his friend did mention there was like film activity happening there in Nashville. And so he moved towns without even knowing his roommate, So he gets there. He was waiting tables at an Olive Garden at night, and that left his days open to try to find an internship. No exact plan. He was sort of desperate, willing to do anything to get him in the room. He would even say to people, "Oh, you don't need to give me a job. Just let me watch the work being made. Let me be in the room when it's happening." So after several weeks, he offered him he did get offered a job, or he finally convinced somebody to let him be in the room. And after several weeks, that guy offered him a job on a shoot for about $50 a day. And it was like 5 days of shooting. They worked 20 hours a day. He said his knees were hurting because they were on the move, but it was a good time. He enjoyed himself. Yet he still didn't know what his path forward would be. And I think in many ways film is like that. It's not like being a doctor or a lawyer where the path is laid out. I think there's a song that talks about there's 293 ways to make change for $1. And I think those paths are a lot like that in film. So his next piece of advice was fan films. And he talked a little bit about how, in short, whatever kind of work you do in the film industry, you need to also think about how you're going to get someone to see what you've done. And the nice feature of a fan film is that you bring a built-in audience to your story. Often when you practice your craft on short films, you might get yourself into a film festival, and then you find that you're sitting in an audience of really just a bunch of other filmmakers watching their short films or waiting to watch their film. And so he talked about the importance of in many ways, connecting out to an audience, a broader audience. I think he made reference to the director of 10 Cloverfield Lane, did a film based on the video game Portal prior to getting that opportunity. And so outside of that, it's work ethic, and you're gonna cross paths maybe with questionable people. And I think that's why you'll see major filmmakers will often, if they'll rehire the same people and over, because the integrity that maybe they bring is probably more important than a flashy demo reel or a fancy website. If people know that you're going to do what you say you're going to do and deliver.